Our next guest was the #1 drug education and prevention school speaker in America in 2019. And then COVID hit and everything changed. He knew kids would need his program more than ever, and that's why he's in Portland today. We welcome drug and education prevention school speaker Michael DeLeon is with us today. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it.
Well, you have such a passion for this. I want you to first share why. Why have you made this your mission and goal?
You know, two great parents, they got divorced. I was very young, and that was a contributing factor. And then some abuse in my life. I got on drugs very early, and it was all an innocent experimentation with cigarettes, alcohol, and marijuana. Innocent, so we thought, but it moved on to other drugs, and I struggled with a lifelong addiction up until the age of 28. And so because I went through these experiences, I want to prevent children from following in my footsteps. I don't want my past to become their future.
And being able to relate with these children, which is really neat. You know, you're now in Portland. I know that you travel around nationally, but you've said that you wanted to make Portland your focus. Why is that?
You know, Portland, to me, because the drug decriminalization is such a focus, and the West Coast in particular, 50% of the homeless population in our country actually live in Oregon, Washington, and California. And such a thread through all that fabric is addiction. But the only way to prevent it from happening is to prevent it from starting. So I really want to give parents the tools to increase protective factors and reduce risk factors so we can prevent it from starting in the first place. Our children are 25% of our population, yet they're 100% of our future. And parents need the tools to have those conversations to increase those coping skills and those protective factors, because it's really not about drugs. Drug addiction is not about drugs. Drug addiction is about the underlying issues like trauma and obviously the brain.
We're talking about the core issues there, and I feel like as a parent, there's a lot that's changed that my kids are now going to have to live through and deal with in their adolescent years. Can you share how maybe some dangers have changed and are different than what we experienced maybe when we were younger?
Right, the drugs themselves have changed dramatically, and the potency of drugs has changed dramatically. And actually, the brain has changed dramatically because of cell phones and tablets and game systems. The time that we have in front of screens, our children's brains have changed. And then the drugs and the chemicals themselves have changed. So that's the biggest key factor on what's the difference. And then a lot of parents, you know, remember the marijuana from the 60s or the 70s, but it's not the same as it is today. So educating kids, I provide continuing drug education. We give educational booklets to all the kids at all the schools that we go to. I share impactful stories from different people who have struggled through their life, like Victoria's Voice. This is a 18-year-old girl who passed away, and her parents are huge advocates collaborating with me right now. And then we published a book for parents, a conversational book for parents, so they know what to say. And it's not even mostly about drugs. It's about a third about drugs and addiction, 2/3 about increasing protective factors and addressing those core issues.
Can you share one an important tip for parents?
This book, Table Talks and Dashboard Conversations, is so critical. Every prevention organization in our country advocates for the family dinner time, and you're supposed to eat dinner with your children 5 nights a week. But in this era, can we eat dinner with our kids 5 nights a week? I didn't think it was possible, but it's not the dinner, it's not the time, it's the conversations. So you can have 5 conversations with your kids a week, and those conversations only need to be 3 minutes. So there's 15 minutes of prevention, 15 minutes of education and awareness, 15 minutes of increasing protective factors. And then those 15-minute of conversations for 1 week will turn into hours. And the education that parents, guardians, grandparents, aunts and uncles, coaches can give to kids is absolutely invaluable and will literally change the direction of their lives forever.
Can you start the conversation with us? What is the thing? I mean, I know a lot of parents have a hard time talking to their kids as teenagers. What is a question they can be asking? What's a way to start that conversation?
So you probably know someone that's affected by drugs directly or indirectly. Ask your child about the effects of drugs that they themselves have witnessed. How were they affected? How was the friend affected? How was the family affected? The community. And not to talk to the child about their immediate friends, their inner circle. Go outside. It's easier to look at that outside environment and talk honestly and openly about it. But Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite motivational speakers, used to say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And kids are especially true. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So a parent having these conversations, children really feel that concern and that care. And you'll be surprised how these conversations start small and they turn into a weekly habitual thing, and habits that are developed in a positive way, develop positive consequences and outcomes. But starting the conversation, like you said, is maybe hard or difficult for some parents. That's why this book was written. This is an absolute guide showing you how to start the conversations, how to continue the conversations, and then what might come up as a result of those conversations with further education and research.
Such good advice. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for having me.
We want to let you know that we'll also have more information about Michael and his book right there, Table Talks, on our website at KATU.com.